Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to our cord video. Yesterday, we talked about the story of Romulus and Remus, and we got to see the beginning of the history of the Romans, right? We heard why Rome is called Rome, and we learned how Rome began its beginning, right? So let's just capture a little bit of what happened. Let's recapture. So there was a good king and there was an evil king. And the evil king did not want the baby boys in his kingdom and wanted to kill them. So he put the boys in a basket, right? Sent them off. Or he didn't. He sent a servant to kill these boys, and the servant felt pity for them and put them in the, what was the river? Do you guys remember the name of the river? The Tiber River, right? And the Tiber River took these boys down to the edge of a fig tree, right? A fig tree. And the she-wolf found the boys. And what did she do? Did she eat the boys? No, she did not eat the boys. She found the boys and she raised them. So for this next part, I want to show you a little sculpture that is in Rome right now. It is, you can go right now. If you go to Rome, you can see this sculpture. And it's a sculpture of the she-wolf and the two baby boys, Romulus and Remus, right? And before I show you, when we go to the Getty Villa, I tell my second graders that they must be mature. How many of you know what mature means? Some of you. That's good. Well, let me explain to you what mature means. Mature means that you are serious when we are looking at serious things, right? We're not being silly, we're not laughing, we're not making fun of, and we're not mocking what we're looking at, right? Because it's serious. It demands our attention to be attentive, right? Demands for us to be attentive to what we're looking at. Okay, so before we begin, like I said, I tell my boys and girls in second grade that when we go to the Getty Villa, we are not laughing at the paintings. We are not pointing. We are not giggling at the paintings. And I say this because sometimes when we go to the Getty Villa, they will show us sculptures and they will show us paintings of the Romans, the way that the Romans depicted the human body, right? And in these sculptures, some of these people do not have any clothes on, right? They're displayed the way that God has made them, right? No clothes on. And the Romans did this to show how beautiful the body was, right? How beautiful the body was, and how God made it, right? And how beautiful it was. So I am just going to lead off with that before I show you this picture. I need you guys, and I want you guys to be mature when I show you this picture. How many of you at home have a little brother or sister? Okay, some of you. And do any of you remember when mom would nurse baby sister or baby brother? Yeah, they would nurse baby sister or baby brother, right? And when they would nurse them, they would put them close to their chest, right? Close to mom's chest, and the baby would drink mom's milk, right? Every little baby does that, right? So we need to be serious about this. We're having a serious conversation. So I am going to show you a picture, a very famous sculpture of the she-wolf nursing the babies, okay? And the babies are drinking from the she-wolf's breast to be nourished. Remember when the shepherd found the boys were fat and happy, right? They were fat. They were being nourished. They were being nourished. And if you've ever seen a puppy eat from its mom, right? Nurse from its mom, a little puppy, you know, the little puppies. It's the same way that Romulus and Remus did with the she-wolf. So I'm going to show you that right now. Let's see if I can find that right here. Okay, let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I think that's as big as it's going to get. So do you see this sculpture? So like I said, we have to be very mature about this. So this is the she-wolf. This is the she-wolf. On the cover of our paper, of our book, we also have a similar image. This is a very famous image. Very famous sculpture. Why do you think the sculptor decided to make the image like this? Why do you think? Yes, the boys are at the bottom nursing, right? They're nursing from the she-wolf that's protecting the boys, right? This is how Rome began, because the she-wolf decided to care for these boys. Okay, so this is a very famous sculpture of the she-wolf and Romulus and Remus. If you go to Rome today, you can find this specific photo in Rome at the Capitoline Hill. It's on one of the hills. So I hope you all get to go to Rome one day and get to see this beautiful, beautiful sculpture. If I can zoom in a little bit more, you can see the detail that the author, can you see the detail in that wolf? The fur that it has right there. You can almost see its ribs. Can you see that? Right? Her breasts are full of milk, ready to nourish the babies. And are the babies skinny? No, they're chubby. And they're chubby because they're being nourished. They're being full of nourishment, right? So that is our sculpture. So these baby boys are found by the she-wolf. The she-wolf takes care of them. And then one day a shepherd comes and hears the babies cooing, right? The babies are cooing. And so the shepherd takes the Romulus and Remus into his home, and they grow up and they become adults. And then they decide, we're going to go back to the place, to the Tiber River, where we were found when we were babies. So they go down to the Tiber River and they decide, we're going to build a town right here. And they look and they see 7 hills. 7 hills. How many hills did they see? 7 hills. They see 7 hills, okay? And when they see these 7 hills, they say, this is a perfect place to build a town. But the one thing that we need is a wall. We need a wall to protect ourselves. There was no police back then, like I said before. There was no police, and people could come in and steal their things. People could come in and kill them. People could come in and hurt them. So Romulus decided, I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to build a wall, and we are going to be safe. And he said, anybody, he said, anybody that tries to jump over this wall, I will kill them instantly, right? Instantly. And so we have these 2 brothers, Romulus, the leader, and Remus, the little brother. They're twins, so they're the same age. But Romulus is not happy. He is not happy about this, right? He's not happy at all. And he says, why do you get to be the leader? Why can't I be the leader? And then he said, I bet this wall doesn't even work. And what did Remus do? He jumped over the wall. guess what happened to him? He died. You're right. He was killed by Romulus. And that is the end of our story. Romulus becomes king. He says, I am the king, the first king of Rome, and this is my town. And if anyone jumps over my wall, I will kill them. He says it again. He makes an example, right? And so he becomes the first king, and he names the city Rome after Romulus, right? So that's our story. So now I have a couple of questions to ask you, just quick questions to ask you. Maybe you can talk about this with your parents. I'd love for you to talk about these questions with your parents. Do you think Romulus should have killed his brother Remus? What do you think? Do you think Romulus should have killed his brother Remus? Here's another question. Do you think Remus should have jumped the wall? Let's talk about that, right? Did Remus do something bad? Did Remus deserve to die? Talk about that. So Romulus had said, I am the leader. I will protect my town. And if anybody comes into my town and tries to hurt my town, I will protect my town by killing whoever comes in. Now, was Remus part of that town? Yes, Remus was part of that town. What feeling did Remus have inside of him? Let's talk about Remus. What feeling did Remus have inside of him? Yeah, maybe he was feeling a little jealous of his brother. He's definitely feeling angry, right? He was feeling angry. He was feeling jealous. He was probably feeling frustrated, right? Have you guys ever felt any of those emotions? Have you ever felt jealous of your brother and sister? Maybe mom gave them a task and you wanted to do it, right? Has that ever happened to you where you look at your brother or sister and you say, I wish I could do that. It's not fair. Why did they get to do it? Why can't I do it? Has that ever happened to you? And so I want you to think about that. Do you think Romulus should have killed his brother Remus? Think about that. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Do you think he should have killed his brother Remus? Some of you might say yes. Some of you might say no. So, Romulus, right? Romulus and Remus is the story. And it kind of reminds me of another story that we've heard. The story of Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. But there's two different things that happen. There are two brothers, right? In both stories, Cain and Abel. And then there's Romulus and Remus. But in these two stories, it's very interesting that we see that each one of these persons, right, each one of these individuals, each one of these boys, men, they had a decision to make. They all made a decision, right? They made a decision. They felt something, they felt angry, they felt frustrated, and then they made a decision. So sometimes it's okay to feel, it's normal to feel frustrated. It's sometimes normal to feel a little jealous, right? But what's important is what we do with those feelings, right? What we do with our actions. So tomorrow, I want to talk about what you thought. I want you to talk to your family. Is it ever okay? Maybe talk about this with mom and dad. Is it ever okay to kill somebody? Is it ever okay? Talk about that. And I want to see what your parents have to say. Do you think Romulus should have killed Remus? Do you think Remus should have been jealous? Okay, so I want you to think about these questions and talk to your parents about it and see what they have to say, okay? And tomorrow we'll come together. We'll talk a little bit more about those questions, and we'll get to go ahead and do a fun little activity with you tomorrow. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you have a fruitful conversation. I'm praying that you bring this up with mom and dad, and that you're able to have a good conversation about the sanctity of life, right? So talk to mom and dad about that, and I can't wait to see what you guys have to say. Totus tuus, Maria.